What's up, guys? This is BSG Trek Fan 88 here. Audacity's being fucking retarded right now, so I have to use the onboard mic on my webcam here, so forgive me. And of course, I'm kind of pixelated and grainy because the lighting is very bad right now, and I've increased the brightness. So, for Thursday, the 13th of September 2012, what have I decided to talk about today? Castaway. I believe, 2000 movie, directed by Robert Zemeckis. Who Framed Roger Rabbit is another film he's done. Polar Express. Many, many great films. Of course, starring the amazingly talented Tom Hanks. Score by Randy Newman. Now, why do I want to talk about this film? This is a movie that I will never get bored with. I saw this movie in the theaters once. I remember I saw it with my dad. And I've seen it numerous times at home. I watched it a couple weeks ago with a couple friends of mine. You know, we were drinking, went out to eat, or played a couple video games, and just watched it. What makes this movie so good? Or at least in my mind, and me to you, why do I like this film? Well, without going into a review and a nitpick of the film, let's start with the basics here. What's the movie about? Tom Hanks plays a FedEx worker, kind of a leader, if you will. He's in charge of going around to different facilities throughout the world and either setting them up or making sure they're on time, fixing issues, etc. So he's not your average worker bee, but he's not, the president of the company. He's kind of like a battlefield commander, if you will, use a military term. If you pay attention to the movie and you watch certain scenes, you know that he has a lot of hobbies. He's an avid sailor. He knows about, not going to say survival techniques, but in the panning of his house that they show in the beginning of the film, he has a lot of books on, how people used to cook food and a bunch of stuff. But mainly that he's an avid sailor, and he's a guy that knows what he's talking about. His wife, Kelly, obviously their marriage is kind of not perfect. They love each other, most definitely, but he's away a lot. He came home for Christmas and he was going to propose to her and he had to leave. So, okay, whatever. He's your average guy. If you look at Tom Hanks, he's kind of like me. He's a portly fellow. He doesn't have a six-pack and an iron jaw. He has a bit of a belly on him. He's your average guy, and that's what they wanted him to be. So when he goes and gets stranded on this island after a horrific and very well-executed plane crash in this film, he is left stranded on this island, and he is alone. The movie documents him getting there, figuring out, okay, I'm kind of screwed here, what am I going to do? And it shows him eventually creating fire, catching fish, knocking out his bad tooth with a fucking skate, which I've wanted to do numerous times while at work. So, of course, we all know the story. The movie jumps 4 years forward. By the way, the movie is set in 95, by the way. And he owns a 95 Jeep XJ, which is the Cherokee Jeep. Woohoo, go Jeep. So, he eventually figures out a way off the island, blah, 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 gets rescued. Now, again, I'm talking to you here, why do I like this film? It's a very unique movie in the sense that for about 80% of the film, it's literally just Tom Hanks and no one else. Which, okay, Tom Hanks is capable of delivering that, but what else can we do with this film? Well, there is no score to this movie. There is a couple bits of music in the beginning at the Christmas party and so on, but that doesn't count. That's just music in the background at the party, like in the movie. The film's score, which basically is you hear no score. Literally, there's a little bit of a Russian theme going on when the door opens from the FedEx truck, and you see the Russian delivering the package, and it's all Russian-y, blah blah blah, your stereotypical horns and trumpets and stuff. Okay, fine. It doesn't really count, but I'll throw it in there just to So from that moment on, after that, until the end of the movie, there is no score. And for me, being a soundtrack enthusiast, and you can name a movie, I have the soundtrack, or at least I've heard of it. That's a little different. I mean, that kind of goes with the whole abandoned thing on the island, where there is no music accompanying him or us watching the film. So, after going on for 2 hours or an hour and 50 minutes, excuse me, with no score, just Tom Hanks and Wilson, the volleyball, you know, when Wilson is lost, that's the first time I bet you never noticed this either until I pointed this out to you. When Wilson is lost and Tom Hanks notices and he's, Wilson, that's when the musical score and the theme kicks in. And that adds to the emotion of losing Wilson. Because if you think about it, Tom Hanks is stranded on this island. Sorry, Chuck is stranded on this island for 4 years. I don't care who you are. If you're stuck somewhere long enough, you're going to start talking to something. And studies have shown that people will usually pick an object and constantly walk around with it, think about it, talk to it. I know I would. So when he loses his friend after 4 years, it's emotional. And when the music kicks in, it just adds to that emotion, which is why that scene is so prolific. I mean, the dude lost his fucking volleyball, if you really want to be gangster about it. Yet people, including myself, the second time I saw it when I was older, have gotten emotional about it. And then, of course, at the end of the film, when Chuck finally reunites with his wife, he finds out that she's not willingly, but moved on, and he can't be with her. She was the basic driving force for his, survival. The music kicks in once again when they finally embrace and kiss for the first time in 4 years and the last time. So, for me, again, soundtrack-wise, it's a really interesting take, but the music that is available, there's like 15 minutes of score, and that's it, besides the Russian theme and everything, is probably some of the best work that Alan Silvestri has done. And this guy has done a whole shitload of music, and I'm not even going to get into it right now. The dude did Back to the Future, the dude did Forrest Gump, the dude did Predator, and so on. So that's a lot. But the soundtrack, or I guess you could say the suite for Castaway, is basically what it is. It is really, really amazing. It's emotional, it's enthralling, it grabs you and you just want to listen to more of it. And unfortunately, there's only 2 tracks. There's the main suite and then there's the bootleg suite, which encompasses parts of the film. So the other thing we can talk about with this movie is Tom Hanks' portrayal. I remember vividly, I asked my mom if she wanted to go see this with me in the movies, and she goes, "Why would I want to see a movie about a guy stuck on an island?" And when you really think about it, why would you pay money, again, back in the day, why would you pay money to go see a person stuck on an island? Well, the way Tom Hanks' portrayal is in this film, I guess the way you could say his character was written, but it's 50-50. It's the writing and, of course, the actor or actress who is portraying what was written on paper. And the dude just does an amazing job. But of course, Tom Hanks does his there's a term for it, I forget. Robert Zemeckis coined it, where, the beginning of the movie, he's like me, a portly fellow, and then they actually took a year off of filming, or I think 9 months off of filming, and they went and filmed What Lies Beneath, while Tom Hanks grew out his hair. It wasn't a wig, and it wasn't a fake beard. That was his real hair. That was his real beard. And he lost, I think, a quarter of his body weight or whatever to appear as what he did in the later half of the movie, which was thin, not really toned, but lean muscle. Obviously, he developed certain muscles while on the island, and that's, name another actor that can do that, maybe besides Christian Bale. Again, an amazing thing. Probably can't do it anymore, but yeah, given his age, unfortunately, but it's Tom Hanks. So, going back again to what I love about this film, again, you have the lack of score, you have Tom Hanks' portrayal or presence in this film, you have Robert Zemeckis' filming style, you have the island itself, which is a character. Since this movie was made, the island has kind of become a tourist attraction, but, when you think about Castaway's Island, you think about the big cliff where he stands on top and technically tried to kill himself. But that's explained to him, explained to us at the end of the movie when he's talking to his friend. You have the cave, you have the really weird current system or waves where you have like basic waves, like a shallow reef, and then you have another dip, and you know how he has to go through the waves, whatever. That's another thing too. I'll talk about real quick. I brought it up in the beginning of the film. He's seen with what we can assume is his best friend's coworker. Sharing wine on the plane on the way back from Russia to France to America, and he's talking about to his friend how his friend's wife has, I forget what kind of disease it is, and Tom Hanks knows a doctor that he recommended to him, and he said he would give him the number, after Christmas and so on. He never did, and unfortunately, not only did his friend have to deal with the loss of Tom Hanks, the loss of his character, Chuck, he also had to deal with losing his wife. So when Tom Hanks comes back to reality, he realizes this and goes, so you had my funeral, and then you had, I forget her name, Kelly's or his wife's funeral. And when you really think about it, that sucks. But when there's a party at the end of near the end of the film where, after he gets welcomed back and so on, they're at the hotel he's staying at, and you can tell it's just one of those things that I feel. You can tell that his friend is kind of just relieved, like just happy, just a part of his life that he thought he lost 4 years ago. And then he lost his wife, so he was probably down in the dumps, has come back. So that's another touch that I love. But there's a lot of things about this film. The cinematography, the writing, the acting, the directing, the amount of effort that went into this film, the special effects, the sound design, a lot of the night shots. In fact, I think they said 80% of the shots that were filmed at night. In fact, no, I actually read this. Every single shot in the film that was at night, was filmed during the day, except when Tom Hanks creates fire. So when you rewatch the movie, like I did recently, I was going, holy shit, that was filmed during the day. That's pretty good. So anyway, Castaway, I love this film. I can't get enough of it, and I don't watch it every day, but if I'm bored or if it's on TV, I'll fucking put it on and go on the computer and do shit while watching it. I mean, it's just one of those films that it's a unique film. It's an original idea, not counting Gilligan's Island. That's different. And I think it's probably one of the better films of my generation. It's a simple story, but the amount of gravitas that's put into this film just makes it better. Anyway, this is BHD Trek Fan 88 signing out for September 13th, 2012. I'll see you all tomorrow with another video. If you have an idea of what you want me to talk about, put it in the comment section below.